From Central Indiana's #1 news source, this is Fox 59 Tonight.
Well, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Fox 59 Tonight. I'm Cameron Riddle. We appreciate you downloading the Fox 59 Smart TV app or watching us on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you haven't downloaded the app to your smart TV, do so. You can find it on Apple TV, Roku, and Fire TV. We do appreciate it because here we get to have conversations long form that we don't always get to spend as much time talking about on TV. And so tonight, Mother's Day is coming up, and that's, of course, a big deal. But you know, Father's Day, the day that gets overlooked. I'll be experiencing my first Father's Day coming up, and I'm expecting a tie. That's probably going to be about it. But the conversation today is fatherhood. It's a lesson as you go. As I said, I'm in the early stages of fatherhood, but somebody else who has been doing this for a lot longer than me and makes it his life's mission, his work, to make sure that life is easier for other fathers is Larry Smith. He is the president and CEO of the Fathers and Family Center here in Indianapolis, and he joins us for the first time here on Fox 59 Tonight. Thank you for coming on, Larry.
Wonderful to be here, Cameron. Really appreciate you. First of all, congratulations on becoming a father. There's nothing like that journey. And then also on all your success in media and in business endeavors.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, you're a person that I get to be able to call on to talk about a number of issues, which I think we'll get into much of it today. But I first want to introduce people to Fathers and Family Center. If they have not heard of what you guys do, a lot of it is explained right there in the title. That's who you serve.
That is who we serve. We've been around for 32 years. Our mission is to equip fathers and empower families so that children thrive. And so ultimately, the audience we want to affect are children. We've served about 24,000 men in the last 3 decades, and we're very, very excited. And I am personally just humbled to be in this role.
So, Larry, talk about some of the resources that you guys have. And you guys are helping people find work. You are helping people who are in their careers, maybe go to the next level. But you guys are also helping fathers who are just starting out with this. You're helping fathers who have been incarcerated. You do a long list of things, and I don't want to shortchange anything that you guys do, but I just want people to understand that you are a resource for fathers in a long capacity of where they are in fatherhood.
Absolutely. And I want to be clear that we serve all fathers. There are no restrictions in that regard. 16 and older. I was a father at 16 myself, so that's something that I understand very, very well. We're best known for our Strong Fathers program. It's 3 weeks long, 90 hours of instruction, and we focus on what we call the 4 Ps. We want to help the men to become a better person, a better parent, a better partner, and a better provider. A better person. What does it mean to be a man in the 21st century? So we talk about going from maleness to manhood. Better parent. Most of the men that we serve, like me, grew up in a home in which their father was not present, at least full time. And so we talk about literally what does it mean to be a father today? Better partner. Most of the men we serve were not married or were never married or are divorced from their children's mother or mothers. And so we talk a lot about co-parenting. Why we pay child support if you have to pay child support. And then finally, provider, right? So that's crucial because the average income when the men get to us is about $11,000 a year. And so we want to make sure when they graduate, they obtain a job or a career with what we call a family sustainable wage.
So let's first, if people are like, okay, this sounds like something that could be of use, how can people get in touch?
Please, by all means, first of all, you can come and visit us at 2835 North Illinois. That is just north of Ivy Tech. You can throw a rock from Ivy Tech and hit us, 2835 North Illinois, just south of the Children's Museum. And also, you can go to our website, ffcindiana.org, FFC Indiana for Fathers and Family Center, indiana.org.
And you're looking at the website right now. They've got a building downtown right there off of Capitol Avenue. And what's that, 23rd?
Illinois.
Illinois, I'm sorry, one
yes,
block over.
28th in Illinois, just north. That's the easiest way to remember it, just north of Ivy Tech.
Just north of Ivy Tech. Yes, I don't know why I was putting you south of Fall Creek, but you're north.
Yes.
So, Larry, in all the things that you guys do, there are things that most of what you do, I do believe, is free, right?
All of it is free, actually, and so that I'm so glad you raised that. So the men do not pay anything to come to our program. In fact, we pay them. We'll pay you $100 a week over those 3 weeks. All you gotta do is show up on time and be there every day. Then upon graduation, you can apply for a job with one of our, employer partners. We have about 25 of those, or if you're interested in all the skilled trades, forklift driving, CDL, apartment maintenance, we have a construction training center at Eastern Star Church on the, east side of town. We pay for that. We pay up to $250,000 a year to ensure that these men can go through skilled trades training. Or finally, if you want to be an entrepreneur, give us a for real business plan. We will vet it. If we approve it, we will pay your fees to the Secretary of State. We'll give you a new laptop. And then Corey Parchman, who's our VP of Programs and Partnerships, former NFL player, started a lot of businesses. He will be your entrepreneur coach.
I bring that up because um, while the stuff that you do is free
Mhm.
for the fathers, it is not free to put on.
Oh, no.
There are many costs and funds of things that are associated with what you're trying to accomplish. And with that said, you guys could always use help and donations and volunteers
Mhm.
to help make your mission continue to grow.
Absolutely. So we're about 90% grant funded. That's worked for 30 years. It makes me a little nervous because philanthropic institutions can change their mind at any time. But up to this date, we've been very, very blessed. But we also have a lot of individual donors always looking for more. And so you know that your money is invested well with us because our results speak for themselves. I'll give you just one example. I mentioned that we have one cohort of strong fathers each month. Well, in any given cohort, 40 to 70% of the men are returning citizens. That means they're coming back from incarceration. Our recidivism rate is only 5%, meaning only 5% of those men reoffend, go back to jail. Compare that to Marion County, Cameron, it's 40 to 45%, depending on whose numbers you believe. And so we have a holistic approach to these men. And so when they come through our program, they do not go back to jail or prison.
Well, I know you guys have a good relationship, working relationship with Marion County Prosecutor
Mhm,
Ryan Mears, who helps in a number of ways. I know child support is something that
mhm.
he is always working to make sure um, that fathers aren't, um, I guess, just caught in between, um, not having a driver's license,
Mhm.
but still needing to get to work to make said money to pay said child support.
Right.
That's also something that you guys are involved in.
That's crucial, and yes, Prosecutor Mears is a great friend of the organization, and you can get credit and towards your sentencing and so on if you just go through the program. That's it, just go through the program. Driver's license is very interesting. So if your driver's license is suspended, you can't go to work, you can't make money, to take care of your children, and so work with us. We will get that reinstated. As my predecessor, Dr. Wallace McLaughlin says, most of the fathers we work with are not deadbeats; they're just dead broke.
That, yeah, that explains a
Mhm.
lot. Um, Nevertheless, you still have to figure out a way to keep going. But if you don't know where those resources are, you can easily not you can be stuck and be broke.
Absolutely, and so and even, literally just getting to us, if you have a car, we will give you, gas cards, so you can put gas in your car. If you don't have a car, we'll give you bus passes, right? We make it as easy as possible to show up. We just wanna continue to help men. I mean, I talked about being a father at 16.
Mhm,
I grew up at 34th and Emerson. My parents were divorced when I was very, very young. My father, was not involved, in my life. I don't disparage him,
mhm.
it is what it is. He had a lot of demons he was battling. And so my life, I understand, could have been very, very different. By the grace of God, I was a good student. And so I went to college, and that changed the entire trajectory of my life. But when I see these men come through my door, Cameron, I understand that if it were not for the grace of God, that would be me. And so, literally, what I say to our staff, I use the L word. I say it is our responsibility to love these men when they come through the door because they have a lot to offer, and we just want to help them get their lives turned around.
Um, let's talk about um, your your operation when it comes to judgment.
Mhm,
As you just said, you were a father at 16, and I know for a lot of people, um, they don't know where to start,
mhm.
and that alone um, it can be hard because you've got somebody relying on you and you don't know where to go. And sometimes, therefore, people are afraid to ask for help because now you have to admit that you don't know
Right.
where you're doing and where you're going.
Absolutely. And you know, when I became a father at 16 in 1987, teenagers having babies was not nearly as common as it is today, and so I really had to figure out very quickly what it meant to be a man, what it meant to be a father, and so we help. And again, whether you're 16 or 60, it doesn't matter. Fathers are struggling. Dads are really struggling, and that's across all demographics, age, race, class, irrespective of whatever your occupation is. Dads are really struggling. That is not to downplay what mothers go through
Hmm.
at all, but there are a lot of organizations, comparatively speaking, who work with single moms or moms in crisis. Not very many when it comes to fathers, and so we're just glad that we are there to be a resource.
When it comes to resources, when it comes to there we go, back to me there. When it comes to the resources that you guys are offering, some of it is literally how to be a father. There is no there are books, but
Mhm.
there's no true playbook
Right.
of how to do this. And I think I've told you this before, that one of the first things that I noticed the second actually before Little Carter came out,
Hmm.
was that there's nothing for the father. Everything, rightly so, in a
Hmm.
lot of ways, is geared toward the mom. And so that's why at the bottom of the screen I put fatherhood. It's a lesson as you go. First
Absolutely.
lesson was, okay, baby's coming out, and we're both staying at the hospital.
Hmm.
We're both hungry. Only her meal is part of the hospital thing. So she like called and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna, yeah, can you bring my husband up something to eat?" Yada yada. And they're like, "Oh, it's only for the person who's registered to the room." Like it's a hotel. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Right.
Um, Luckily we had some really cool nurses
Mm.
who went down, was like, what you want, we'll call, we'll get it for you. And so that's how I ate. And then even the couch, you get the old
Hmm.
not comfortable pull out couch to sleep on,
Right.
but you two are on duty because at that point I remember the baby was out and my wife was exhausted and sleep and
Hmm.
everything, but I was like, man, this is painful too, but baby's crying. I'm on the job. So the first lesson was this is going to be um, a what is the right word? I'm going to say underappreciated,
Mm.
thankless.
Mm.
It's a thankless job from the beginning. That's lesson number one.
Hmm.
How do you guys teach that?
Yeah, so great point, and let me just say that that I always like to say that if men had to give birth, there would be about 6 people in the entire world,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
I cannot even fathom going through that.
I want that job at all. No, thank you.
Absolutely, but what we try to emphasize is that fathers do have a role. In fact, I can tell you our origin story. So, lovely woman named Sarah Meadows, who's still with us. Several years ago, when we first started and known as the Father Resource Program, she was the director of social work at what was then Wishart Hospital.
Hmm.
So she goes to maternity room, mom's there, doctor's there, she's there, medical staff is there. The father is there, but nobody's paying attention to him.
Hmm.
And so Miss Meadows thought, well, that's not right. And so she started the Father Resource Program because she recognized that fathers were being ignored, even if they were intimately involved in that new process.
Hmm. Um, have you heard what? Have you heard from fathers and when they're with you guys and they say, I feel left out, like, and now I'm used to it. And even my wife now, the order of people asking, when you come in, where's the baby,
Mm-hmm.
then they ask about her,
Right.
and it's like, hey, y'all, I'm here too. um
Yep.
but I think that's that's the role, that's the job, I guess.
Right, and it is, it is coming from a place of humility. We need to understand, the mother has needs. There might, unfortunately, might be postpartum
Hmm.
in some cases, and all that. So we're just there to support, to nurture, and to help that child, that little boy, that little girl, become a healthy, happy, fully developed human. And so, and that, that's a reward in and of itself. We don't always get the thanks and
Hmm.
all that. You mentioned, Father's Day. You might get a tie. I might get some underwear. Who knows for Father's Day? But at the end of the day, that's just the role that God assigned to us,
Hmm.
and we're just there to help them along the way.
Is that hard for people to understand when they first come into the program and new fathers? Because, like I said, for me, I knew right then. I was like, okay, I see how this is going to be.
Well, and it's hard for some, and remember though, a lot of the fathers are have been dads a long time, so
Hmm.
they have that experience there. And in fact, many of the dads are the custodial parents,
Hmm.
right? And things happen in life. Usually, the mother is the custodial parent if you're not together in an intimate relationship anymore. But sometimes it's the dad. I was a custodial parent at when my daughter was 13 years old. I
Hmm.
became her custodial parent. So there's a wide range, and one of the great things about each cohort is that the fathers who have been around a little bit longer, who are a little bit older, really mentor and guide the younger fathers, help them know what to expect and all that. But at the end of the day, it's hard to compete with somebody who your child came out of.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh,
So
absolutely.
at the end of the day, that they were one entity at one point,
Correct.
and so you can't really compete with that.
And I think you understand that now.
Yeah,
I understood that right away,
right.
but I think that's something that probably a lot of people, a lot of men
Hmm.
don't understand. I mean, because it's new. Like I said, there's no handbook, and you feel how you feel.
Right.
But that was I remember there were several other people. You just happen to find out when people are also having babies at the same time, and
Hmm.
there was one guy, I can't remember who it was, but I know he was on Facebook, and he was just saying like, I got to admit, y'all, I'm scared
Hmm.
because I don't know. There's no way to prepare for
Right.
this. And thankfully for me, I helped raise my sisters who are now college age now. So the baby part wasn't new to me.
Hmm.
Um, I think the new part for me was, okay, how do you support
Hmm.
mom in this time? Because really in those first moments, there's nothing I can do to help you.
Right.
I can hold your hand and say, "You got this," and try to coach you through it. But really, I could. I remember us laughing at the time
Hmm.
when she was in labor. She was sitting on this ball, and I was like, this is really one sided. Like you're in pain, and she was waiting for them to bring an epidural. I remember her walking, and I'm just like, I feel like I was eating like a bag of chips. I was there.
We're just there. And but so much of life is literally just showing up, right?
Hmm.
So to be there, to be a support, to comfort them. So I have three children now. My oldest is 38. She will celebrate 11 years of marriage this year. They have a 5-year-old son, a 3-year-old daughter. My middle daughter is 19. She's just finishing up her sophomore year at Howard University. My former wife was in labor for 41 hours with her. 41
Mm,
hours
no, thank
with
you.
her. And so as I tease her now, I tell her, you were stubborn before you got here. So 41 hours of labor. And then my son is a senior at Lawrence North High School.
Hmm.
This young man is going to graduate with a 5.1 GPA.
5.1.
5.1, which I literally didn't know was
I was
possible.
gonna say, doesn't it top out at 4?
No, so all his classes are honors, AP, and international baccalaureate, and almost all his grades not only are A's, they are A pluses.
Okay.
The rarest grade on his report card is A. He's never had in 4 years. He's never had a B on his report card. So
And his plans are?
he's been accepted to a bunch of schools: Stanford, Northwestern, Columbia, NYU, Notre Dame, Michigan, some great schools. And so he has until May 1st to decide where he's going to go.
Okay, what's he wanna study?
He wants to be in drama, so he's in show
Okay.
choir right now. He's been doing that. His sister, who's now at Howard, introduced him to that, so he loves that. Love to watch him on stage. He and his girlfriend perform. They're both in show choir, and so he wants to be an actor, which is another way of saying he wants to be in my pocket for several more years. But that's okay.
It's tough out there in Hollywood right
It
now.
is indeed.
Um, Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's with our 7-month-old, we always try to think like, wonder what he will be.
Hmm.
Like I have high aspirations like for him. Like I think he's gonna achieve great things because he came out of the womb
Hmm.
um doing things like you can lift your head completely up like that.
Mm,
And so I'm like, this kid's gonna be something.
indeed.
And so that is something that uh from the small things like lifting your head up to graduating from college and going on to be something that's your job.
That is our job, and as I like to say, they're only loaned to us,
Hmm.
right, for a certain amount of time, and we're there to help them, to guide them, not certainly to push them when they need a little push, as well. But my issue, I saw my role as sort of setting an environment, creating an environment in which they could be successful,
Hmm.
doing all that we could do. Their mom and I doing all that we could do to ensure, hopefully, their success. And by success, I don't mean making millions of dollars and all that.
Hmm.
Happy, healthy, and contributing to society.
How do you? Okay, so let's come out of the hospital a little
Hmm.
bit. And I'll keep using myself as an example. Um, you know, uh, I would say out of the two of us, my wife is the stricter one. Like
Mm,
she's already saying, "You're gonna let him get away with X, Y, and Z." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm coming and put my foot down. Like, no, I'm dad. This is what I say
hmm,
is gonna go."
hmm,
But she thinks it's gonna be the other way around.
hmm,
But that's our dynamic.
hmm.
At the end of the day, is gonna work out. He's gonna get what he needs. But how do you talk to fathers about, okay, now this is your role. The role of dad is to what?
So you mentioned something. I'll use this phrase. The dynamics of every relationship are different, right?
Hmm.
And so you and your wife will figure that out. Who has this role, who has that role. I would say that the key thing is whether the father is in the home full time or not. Figuring out the rules around co-parenting, right? So
Hmm.
there's co-parenting when you're both in the home. There's co-parenting when you have a home that is where you live in separate domiciles. So establishing those rules. So that's one of the things we talk about is what are the rules that you create for yourselves that you can both agree on? Because at the end of the day, it's about the child. It's not about you two, right? It's about the child. As my grandmother said, no child ever asked to be here, right? And
Hmm.
so two people decided that they were going to make this little person, and here they are. And so you need to figure out what the rules are, what your role is. And of course, I'm biased. I'm an ordained minister, so for me, it's bringing God into that home, right?
Hmm.
Ensuring that there's a strong faith basis for parenthood.
Um, if you are, a lot of folks are co-parenting and the dad is not always in the house.
Mhm,
What's the best advice is, if they're living with mom,
mhm.
I guess I would think the job is to, well, reinforce what mom is trying to do.
Yes, yeah, you're a young parent, so I know this will probably shock you, but sometimes children will try to get parents to be at each other's throats,
Uh-huh.
right? So they can get ultimately whatever their objective is. But in all seriousness, it really is crucial to make sure you have those conversations that you communicate. I'm not saying talk.
Mhm.
I'm saying communicate with each other very,
Mhm.
very effectively and come up with those rules that you both can agree on, and it doesn't mean that at the end of the I mean, sometimes there are major things. If there's a religious component, maybe you're different religions and or maybe one person is not religious at all. Where are you going to go to school? It's going to be public school, is it going to be private school, it's going to be parochial school. Those kinds of things are serious discussions, and so hopefully you begin to have those discussions before you decide to have a child,
Mhm.
right? And not everyone does, and sometimes children, I will never say an accident, but they were not planned,
Mhm. Mhm.
and but here they are, and so you kind of have to have those discussions on the go. But at the end of the day, I encourage the fathers and the mothers to be prayerful with each other, to be patient with each other, again, irrespective of whether they're in the same home. And by the way, I would be remiss if I did not ask this. According to research from the CDC and others, African American fathers, Black fathers, are the most involved fathers as compared to white fathers or Hispanic fathers, irrespective of whether they are married,
Mhm.
right? So if it's a lie, researchers told it, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of times we conflate the notion that there are, roughly three-fourths of all Black babies are born out of wedlock, right? That's true, but just because the father is not in the home, it doesn't mean that he isn't in that child's life.
Mhm.
And so I just wanted to make that distinction clear.
So, we're gonna take a commercial break here in just a moment. But for people who have been watching this first half and they're like, okay, this Larry guy, his kids are doing all right. He might know a little something. Let's remind them how they can get in touch with you guys.
Please come and visit us at 2835 North Illinois, just a stone's throw from Ivy Tech Indianapolis campus. or visit us on the web at ffcindiana.org or on Facebook, fathersandfamiliescenter.org.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back, and then I'm going to ask Larry. I'm going to ask you just a little bit of politics, because the world that we're living in right now. We talked about the funding that you guys are going through, and you are like a lot of nonprofits that are trying to figure out, okay, with this administration and the things that we are going into, what does the future hold? We'll talk about that to let people know, like, hey, some people might say that these grants are going nowhere and it's being wasted, but you've already explained a lot about what it is you guys do and why they are crucial. More Fox 59 tonight coming up after this.